Call the organizational meeting to order. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. First order of business is we're going to have the oath of office for Lori Bloom, our new board member.
Okay, I'm just going to read the oath, and then at the end, if you just say I do, okay, you can get this. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge your duties as members of the Board of Education of the Fremont City School District, Sandusky County, Ohio, to the best of your ability and in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereafter to be enacted during your continuance in said office and until your successor is elected and qualified?
I do.
All right.
All right. Next up, we need to nominate and vote for a president and then on to a vice president. So I just open it up to board members if there is someone that they would like to nominate for president for this next year.
Nominate Tom Price.
So we have myself nominated by Chantel. Is there any other votes or nominations? I'm sorry. No. Sure.
Okay.
All right. If there's no other nominations, I need a motion to close nominations for president.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Chantel, second by Vi. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Bloom? Here. Mrs. Spear, too? Oops.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I messed it up. Mrs. Laird?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mrs. Ray?
Yes.
Oath of office.
Vote on presidency?
Oh, sorry.
All right, Megan, if you want to do a roll for their vote on presidency.
Mrs. Bloom?
Yes.
Mrs. Spear, too?
Yes.
Mrs. Laird?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Mrs. Ray?
Yes.
Okay. So now we have to have the oath of office
Go
for the president.
Here she comes.
Great.
You don't even have to travel.
No, they can hear me, but I know they won't hear you.
Okay. Same deal. Say I do after I'm done.
Yep.
Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge your duties as president of the Board of Education of the Fremont City School District, Sandusky County, Ohio, to the best of your ability and in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereafter to be enacted during your continuance in said office and until your successor is elected and qualified?
I do.
Righty. Would like to sign?
Okay. Thank you. I guess I better bring this back down. Okay, next, we need nominations for vice president.
I nominate Chantel.
Okay. Are there any other nominations?
Chantel and Chantel.
No. Okay. Again, I need a motion to close the nominations for vice president, please.
So moved.
Moved by Miss Laird. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Vi. Roll call, please.
Miss Laird?
Yes.
Mrs. Ray,
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom,
Yes.
Mrs. Spiritu,
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes. Nominations are closed. And now, if you'd like to ask for the vote on vice presidency,
Okay. Mrs. Bloom,
Yes.
Mrs. Spiritu,
Yes.
Mrs. Laird,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
yes.
Ms. Ray.
Yes.
All right. Can we have the oath of office for Miss Laird for vice president, please?
Want me to go on this side of you this time? Okay, and I will read it and then say I do at the end. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge your duties as Vice President of the Board of Education of the Fremont City School District, Sandusky County, Ohio, to the best of your ability and in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereafter to be enacted during your continuance in said office and until your successor is elected and qualified? I will. Sign.
Yay.
Thank you. Before we move on, it just kind of hit me. Do I have to take an oath of office again because I was elected to another term? Because my term ran out, I was elected to another term. Do I have to be
Yeah.
reread the oath
Yes.
just for being a
Mr.
board
Price,
member?
good catch. Absolutely
Yes.
so.
Yes.
Yep.
It just hit me.
One more
Okay.
time. All
Absolutely.
right, Mr. President.
We don't, do we have, can it just be a formality? We don't have to go back through all of this.
No. I think if we just
We can
I think we
just-
probably should do it though for the record.
Right, just as
So-
an elected board member.
Yes, just
Okay.
like we did for Lori. Really, we should do it.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
we
right.
really should.
You have to
All
get up, Megan.
Yeah, no.
That's right. Here she comes again.
We're giving you your exercise.
I know.
today.
I'm supposed to have my right hand up, probably.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge your duties as members of the Board of Education of Fremont City School District, Sandusky County, Ohio, to the best of your ability and in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereafter to be enacted during your continuance in said office and until your successors elected and qualified?
I will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we will get you another one to sign.
All right. Okay. So now we're good, I think.
I think so.
We should be. Okay. Moving on in the organizational meeting. So we have item 1, fixing the time and place, which is listed there. Item 2, establishing the service fund for 2022. Then moving on to our appointments for different parts for the board members. John, I guess you have a list, correct?
Yeah,
Should I just
had
let you go through
I
those?
just kind of brought kind of what everybody sort of surveyed an interest in.
Do you want to go
Why
through
don't
this,
you
or
go
do you want
ahead
me
since
to?
you- Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead. And we'll just do them one at a time, Tom.
Okay.
And that way we can, if anybody wants to
Okay.
jump in or decline or deny or whatever, we just
Okay.
do one at a time.
So item 3, legislative liaison. Chantel, you had expressed interest. Is that
If you'll have me, I'd
Awesome.
like to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
so? Miss Laird will be legislative liaison this year. Item 4, delegate to OSBA annual conference. Vi,
Yes.
is that good with everybody? So Vi will be our delegate. Item 5, the alternate delegate. Lori.
You have no idea, right? Yes,
Nope.
sure. Great.
So Lori is the alternate delegate. All that is in case Vi couldn't attend. Item 6, student achievement. Liaison, Vi. Is
Yes.
that okay?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So Vi is our Student Achievement Liaison. Item 7, Trustee for Learning and Liberty Foundation.
Lord.
Lori.
Yep.
Okay. Then let's see. Item 8, payment of annual membership dues. Is just going to be approving that for our membership for OSBA. Item 9 for the Treasurers Committee appointment for the audit. Am I missing it here?
No, I think that's the same as the records retention. That's records committee, Tom. So I think it's
Okay, so it's
just-
both, since those are both in the Treasurers Committees,
correct.
correct? Okay. So the records retention and the audit, Tom and Mary Alice. Mary Alice, is that all right with you? Okay. So we'll do that for those two. Then on to item 10, Superintendent's Committee appointments. Policy Committee, I'd expressed interest, if that's all right with everybody. Okay. Curriculum Quality Control Council. I'd expressed interest, but if that's all right, unless someone else wants to. No? Okay. Finance Committee, Chantel. Okay. And Health and Wellness, Mary Alice. Okay. All right. Next, item 11, Business Advisory Council, meeting dates and times. That's listed there. Authorization of the superintendent to act as a representative for grants. Under item 12, 13, participation in state and federal programs. 14, appointment of the purchasing agent, that the superintendent would be our purchasing agent for this next year. Item 15, appointment for public records training. Obviously, that would be Megan, our treasurer. 16, the authorization for investment of funds with the treasurer. 17, request for available monies. 18, petty cash authorization. 19, authorization to issue warrants. 20, authorization for pay mileage. 21, authorization or authorize the superintendent to hire staff. 22 and 23 are both to approve legal counsel. And that ends that first part. So if I could get a motion to approve items 1 through 23, please.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Laird,
Second.
second by Mrs. Spiritu. Any discussion or questions on those items? All right, roll call, please.
Ms. Laird,
Yes.
Mrs. Spiritu,
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom,
Yes.
Mrs. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes. Motion's approved. Moving on to the tax budget hearing. There's just one item there. We had the attachments. It was also emailed to us. So can I get a motion to approve item 24, please?
Motion to approve.
Moved by Mrs. Espiritu. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Laird. Any questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Spiritu,
Yes.
Ms. Laird,
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom,
Yes.
Mrs. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes, motion's approved. So that takes care of the organizational and the tax budget meetings. We'll now move on to our regular meeting. So we'll call our regular meeting to order. We've already had roll call at the beginning of this. So first thing is can I get a motion to approve the minutes of our regular meeting held December 13th, 2021, please?
Mhm.
Moved by Mrs. Ray. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Espiritu. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Ray,
Yes.
Mrs. Spiritu,
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom,
Yes.
Ms. Laird,
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes. Motion's approved. Any walk-on items tonight?
None this evening, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Legislative report.
I'll have a report for the next meeting.
Thank you. Moving on to the first hearing of the public. There is no one in attendance tonight. Andrew, unless you would like to talk to us from back there behind the tech booth, we'll go ahead and move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Price. First, I'd like to spend a couple minutes talking about January, which is Board Appreciation Month. I have a proclamation here from the governor, if I may read that with your permission. Whereas more than 700 boards of education oversee and manage the personnel and properties of school districts throughout Ohio. And whereas school board members are elected to establish the policies that provide the framework for their schools. And whereas school board members devote hours of their time each week to provide leadership to their local school districts. And whereas school boards fill an important role with members creating and monitoring district plans to make sure students have the tools and skills to reach their full potential. And whereas school boards maintain communications with all segments of their communities to keep the public informed of district activities. And whereas school board members advocate for the best interests of the students served in their districts. And whereas throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, Ohio school boards have played an important role in providing safe, ongoing instructions to students. And whereas it is important that communities support local school boards so the students receive the best education and are prepared to be the leaders of tomorrow. And now, therefore, we, Mike DeWine and John Husted, Governor and Lieutenant Governor of the state of Ohio, do hereby recognize January as School Board Appreciation Month. So there are a lot of things listed there, and as I read each line, I could think of things we've done in the last 2 years that just jumped into my head, the things that you've done to get this community through that. And we kind of went with a superhero theme this evening to make sure that you understand what we do think of you. It's a tough job, and you do it with grace and kindness and compassion. So you are our heroes. At your place, you'll find a name tag. You may not have looked at that very carefully, but if you look at the letters, each one of those letters is formed with a superhero theme. On mine, I've got a little touch of Spider-Man, a dash of Batman, and I can't tell what the third one was. I'll have to ask an 8-year-old what that last superhero is, but just something for you to maybe put somewhere in your home to help you remember what we think of you. And also at your place, no hero is a hero without a cape. Now, you may have to lose a little weight to get that around your neck, but it is something that we think we'd like to have you just put somewhere to know you've been through it, and we appreciate it. We really do. And this community appreciates it. And I think I can say safely on behalf of the community, thank you for being our heroes. We appreciate it very much. All right. All right. Just a couple things then before we get into our regular agenda. COVID and all things COVID. It has been pretty messy, and we were anticipating a bump over Christmas break, and I am fielding calls from community members about concerns and emails and so forth. But I kind of wanted to tell you where our numbers were last week, and it's kind of what we anticipated. Now, this is the Monday after Christmas break, the first Monday back a week ago today. We had 36 identified, I'll say again, 36 identified positive cases in the district, okay? On Tuesday last week, we had 22, so we went from 36 to 22. On Wednesday, we had 6. On Thursday, we had 10, and then Friday, we had 11. So what I saw last week was a peak early in the week, and it came pretty consistently down. Now, I got a few preliminary numbers today, and they're back up again a little bit, which is a pattern that we've seen actually throughout this entire ordeal, is that they seem to peak over weekends and home time, and then actually, I can't explain it, but it seems like, and the numbers bear it out, it seems like the longer the kids are in school, the numbers actually come down a little bit. I don't understand it, but it seems to be that schools have been a pretty safe place overall for kids to be. So I have chosen not to do any further mandates or anything else right now. We're going to try to hang on and see how things go. But I am watching it, and I assure you that I am. I'm sure you're getting questions about what we're doing and what's going on. But I do believe we're in the right place. I still believe right now that Families that want to mask their child can. Families that would like to vaccinate their child can. And those that don't right now. So there's always that balance. And in my heart, I'm just trying to do the best I can with that balance between a family's right to make that decision and public health. And it's daunting, I have to admit. It's not easy to be in that spot. But I still feel like right now with what we're seeing, it's the right decision. Also, I noticed I went to Ohio Department of Health today and saw some of the state numbers are coming down. So and deaths are going down. So I do think we're okay right now, but I will watch it, I promise you, and do the best I can to keep our students and our teachers and staff, everyone safe through this whole thing. Does anybody have any questions about anything there?
So, John, you still have your prior method of implementing the mask when it comes to
Correct.
exposure.
Correct.
So I think that's fair. It's not like you haven't implemented anything.
Right.
You know, I
Right.
think that's a nice blend.
Right. So, and right now too, if you recognize that quite a few of there's still, kids are back with a safe exposure, so they mask up and come to school, right? If they show no symptoms. So that was a big change that happened this fall that really has made a huge difference, where we were sending home, dozens and dozens of kids a day. Now we're identifying large numbers of kids though, but those kids need to wear masks to stay in school. So that's sort of where we are. And our response currently is to ask kids who are exposed to mask up for the duration of that period.
I think one thing, if the numbers are not just right now, but even last fall and everything, if the numbers always seem to peak on Monday and start creeping down throughout the week, I think that goes to what our district is doing in the building wise. I mean, stuff is working, and whatever that is, but our staff is doing a great job. I mean, obviously, if numbers are going down, we're treating it well in our buildings to where we can get those numbers down. Like you said, the longer they're in school.
Yeah.
So
now I hope it stays that way. And one thing I have learned, man, don't count on anything.
It can change.
It
tonight.
can change. And if you ask me if I'm confident I'm doing the right thing, I can't even say that. But I do think that right now I feel like we're on a good course. So am I confident? I think I've learned enough to not be real confident of much, but continue to do the best I can. Any other questions on that? All right. Thank
You're
you.
doing a good job.
Well, thank you, Mary. I'll say not everybody thinks so, but we'll keep going. Other thing I just want to talk about and actually brag about is the move into the high school. I've been a part of this a couple of times in my career, and it's just tough. And if you remember, our move into our elementaries was quite a scramble because we had 7 into 4, we had combined staffs, we had different leadership, we had just a lot of challenges with that move into elementary, which made it very complicated.
COVID.
Yeah, right. Yeah, work shortages. You name it. This one was much simpler in a lot of ways, in the sense building to building, on same campus, same staff, but still, 800, 900 students, 150 adults. It was a big move and just done very well. I won't say seamlessly, but we redid traffic patterns, bus drop off, entrance. Obviously, the kids trying to find their way. We opened a brand new school a week ago, and it went very, very well. Another thing I've talked to even several people today about is just the feeling, and I have a hard time measuring it, but there's just a brightness to that building and a cheer, and it seems quieter and calmer, and just a very good place to be. So I've heard a lot of good comments from staff, also a lot of good comments from students. So just want to report that I think this community will be very pleased with the outcome of our brand new building, our beautiful brand new building. And I look forward to now getting it all done as we go through the spring and summer. And hopefully this fall we can just park in the right place and drop off in the right place. I mean, there are some challenges still because it's a tight space, but we're getting there. I just like to just remind you and the community kind of where we go from here with the old building. We ask for sort of that space for a few weeks after we move to make sure we have everything out that we need. Right now it's pretty secure. It's chained up and locked up. We got a fence around it, make sure it's safe and wouldn't have any break-ins and vandalism. We struggled with that a little bit. If you remember at STOM, we had some things like that happening. So we're working very hard to make sure it's secured space. And we're also working with some other entities. I got a couple churches that have a few things that they'd like. We've got some parochial schools that have gotten a few things out of there that are just good to give, I think. We're trying to be good neighbors. So that we're doing that here over the next couple weeks. Then the asbestos abatement, which is the process of removing all the asbestos, and there's a lot of it. If you think circa 1950, there's a lot of that in there, mostly in the floors and the ceilings. It's not going to be an easy task to get out. That will take most of February. So March is sort of slated to begin the actual ball and chain demolition will start at the beginning of March. So that's sort of the timeline. We'll get that site, we think about 6 weeks to get it down. And that should line up with a weather break, and we'll start with the additional parking, the bus drop off, grass planting, and all that will happen then as things warm up this spring. So that's the timeline on a new building and the old building. Okay. All right. I think that's all I have as far as report. Mr. Price, may I proceed?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Board this evening, starting with item 25, Board Recognition Month, right? We just went through that. Very seriously, thank you for all that you do. If we could have a motion for that.
Getting a motion to approve item 25, please.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Laird,
Second.
second by Mrs. Espiritu. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Laird?
Yes.
Mrs. Spiritu?
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom?
Yes.
Mrs. Ray?
Yeah.
Mr. Price?
Yes, motion's approved.
Thank you very much. Item 26 is a National Mentoring Month. With your approval with that, please.
Can I get a motion to approve item 26, please? Motion by Mrs. Ray,
Second.
second by Ms. Laird. Any discussion?
Just one thing, Mr. Price, if I may.
Yes.
I've been in several districts professionally, and no one does mentoring like Fremont City Schools in the area that I know of. No one. Much to Vi's credit, there's a long history. I mean, decades and decades of building the mentor program that we have. Now, COVID has been a bit of a bite for us, unfortunately, but that program is strong. We have people in place that make it happen, and a lot of people that commit to changing lives. And there's a lot of research says nothing does it like a mentor. So.
I think that's a great point. If I could just make one more
Please.
comment, I think we even have some local celebrities that were part of that program that you
Yes.
that you put together. So if they aren't examples of just what that can do to help develop
Absolutely.
an adolescent to a wonderful adult.
Changes lives.
Mm-hmm.
We've had some,
Not everything we do can we say changes lives, but that's one of them.
does,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. Laird?
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom?
Yes.
Mrs. Spiritu?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes, motion's approved.
Thank you very much. Item 27 is a standalone item. Is our acceptance of our donations. We have Fort Ball Pizza, Judge Pfizer, Christmas tree, Shelley Lawrence, a Christmas tree, Mr. and Mrs. Jordan Schwoko, a Christmas tree, St. Paul's Episcopal Church for some hat, gloves, and scarves, and USTA for some tennis kits. Those are for use in our gymnasiums.
Can I get a motion to approve item 27, please?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Laird,
Second.
second by Mrs. Espiritu. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Laird?
Yes.
Mrs. Spiritu?
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom?
Yes.
Mrs. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes, motion's approved.
Thank you very much. Moving on into student and staff achievement. We have a foreign exchange student. Amrin will join us with your approval for an academic year here in the United States.
Can I get a motion to approve item 28, please? Motion by Ms. Bloom, second by Mrs. Ray. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Bloom?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Mrs. Spiritu?
Yes.
Ms. Laird?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes, motion's approved.
Thank you very much. Item 29, we have a couple resignations for Natasha Trimble and Annette Kramer. On to the next page is item 30. We have some appointments, some certified staff substitutes, and some support staff substitutes with your approval. Item 31, HQSD. Now, this is the high-quality student data. It's a part of our new teacher evaluation program. you remember, we used to have value added, and that's still around, but we've now added this high quality student data. That is what the committee will decide is sort of an appropriate way to judge student growth, which is now a new part of our teacher evaluation system. So you see that HQSD, that's high quality student data, and it's the old, used to have, I'm thinking, lost the word, but it was a created evaluation that teachers use at the beginning of the year and the end of the year. We sort of did away with that in this last regulation in the laws, so it's now HQSD. Item 32 is payment for student teacher mentors. Those are the ones working through Heidelberg. And then item 33, we have one working through Ohio Northern University, Allison Kelly. We need your approval for those this evening. Then item 34 is a status change for Nikki Holland. We had to kind of clarify some experience to improve her position. So I need a motion for all of those things.
Can I get a motion to approve items 29 through 34, please?
Oh, well,
Motion by Mrs. Espiritu,
second.
second by Mrs. Bloom. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Spiritu?
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom?
Yes.
Ms. Laird?
Yes.
Mrs. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes, motion's approved. Moving on to report of the treasurer.
I am very happy to say that as of today, I now have a staff of 4 individuals. Nikki started today, and it was a very good day. I think she'll do really well in my office. So,
Megan, how long have you guys been understaffed? Trick question. It might be measured in years at this point.
Yeah, I think it's been about 6 months to a year,
Yeah.
off and on, because there was some other movement going on. So
It's a big day.
it's a very exciting day. My staff was very excited for a new addition, and she seems to be. She said she was coming back tomorrow, so I did not scare her off on her first day.
One day in.
Yep. The only thing tonight I have for approval is the tax budget that we looked at a little bit ago.
Can I get a motion to approve item 35, please? Motion by Mrs. Ray,
Second.
second by Mrs. Espiritu. Any questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Ray?
Yes.
Mrs. Spiritu?
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom?
Yes.
Ms. Laird?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes, motion's approved. Okay, moving on to board member communications and information. Let's go right down the line. Lori, this is your first one. Make it good.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody for welcoming me here and making me feel comfortable and at home for my first day and first time. So I'm looking forward to working with you guys and seeing how this all works.
Mary Alice?
Oh, well, I want to welcome Lori to the board and Tom to be elected to stay on the board. And to our elected officials, our vice president and president for this year. I would also like to welcome our exchange student to our district. That's about it.
Chantel?
Welcome, Lori. Congratulations, Tom. Welcome definitely to our exchange student. It's a very historic time to travel abroad, so good for her. We already know she's a courageous young woman. So
Right.
How exciting. I know it's challenging times, but I think we have really good things ahead, and there's so many blessings that we have to hold on to. Our new schools. Gosh, I can't imagine what it would feel like going to that school. I remember when I was in high school, currently, and it seemed pretty dingy then. So,
I hate to say it because our alumni is pretty touchy about it, but it's dingy. And going
it
between the
is.
two now, it's gloomy.
It is. And I remember, some of our local skilled workers being concerned about sending their staff on different maintenance calls and so forth. So how thrilled they must be, with the conditions to work to take care of our community and schools too.
We had so many people during the tour say, yep, still smells like Ross. And it wasn't a compliment. I mean, there were just a lot of things going on in that building that we're pretty excited not to have anymore.
That's it for this evening.
Okay. I'm like to welcome Lori, and she fits right in. She looks pretty sitting there. So welcome, Lori. Anything that I can do and that we can do to help you transition into this position, there's a lot to learn, but then we all had to kind of learn. So yes, so welcome, and I hope it's a wonderful experience for you. Obviously, you're interested in our children and our students and helping them to achieve, so or you wouldn't be sitting there. So welcome. And also, I'd like to, the mentor is kind of close to my heart, so I'd like to, on a different side of the fence, thanks to our many mentors and our community members who some leave their positions in their job for an hour or two to spend with the students once a week, and we've seen tremendous results from that. So thanks to our mentors and also our teacher mentors. You know, teachers, everyone can benefit from a mentor. So those that are reaching out to our newer teachers, you know, kudos to them. And also thanks to our community for our donations. Every month, every meeting, you know, someone is reaching out and you know, offering a donation to help advance our students or provide whatever it is that we need for education or personal. And our exchange student, we want to welcome. It's kind of nice. They are coming into a whole brand new building. Yeah. So that's pretty neat. And I think that's probably, also, kudos to those who made that move, the transition to Ross. I mean, I can't even imagine leaving vacation at one school and then all of a sudden you're in a whole different, and to hear how well it went. It was not by chance. It was it was a lot of effort and a lot of just good things that are happening from.
A lot of teachers put in a lot of time on break.
Yeah,
They really did.
Get a whole brand new room and stuff. So thanks to all of our staff who made that possible. Yeah. And thanks to John for overseeing that.
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Mr. Zeller, high school principal, had mentioned Scott Fox, custodian at Ross. Just what a tremendous cog he's been. I just publicly thank Scott Fox. Oh.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, welcome, Lori. Your first board meeting. One of many in these next 4 years for you. So congratulations on that. Also, like Vi just said and everybody else has said, thank you to the staff that made the move for the high school possible, for the extra hard work that was put in. We know it wasn't just staff at the high school. I'm sure maintenance and everybody else was all involved. So it was all hands on deck kind of thing for having something like that to do in a matter of 2 weeks around holidays and being with your family and everything else. So thank you for everyone who made that possible. So knowing that you had to drive bus only once last week.
Yep, just Friday.
Hopefully our bus drivers had a nice little break for those 2 weeks off at the holidays where they got rested a little bit and now are back at it, I'm sure. So
actually, I might add, if I may, on the bus driver situation, remember that day I had to actually cancel because we had 9 out that day.
Right.
We actually had like 4 or 5 community members call, say, hey, maybe something I'd like to be interested in. Yeah. So
awesome.
I mean, if there's a sunny side,
yes,
if there's a sunny side to that,
yes.
it got a few people's attention that maybe just wasn't something they'd considered until it was very publicly, this is a real mess. So I just thought I'd throw that out.
Yeah, and sometimes it takes that where you don't know that that's happening.
That's right.
And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, I never realized
it really is a need.
like that was going on. So good.
Yeah.
Thank you for the gifts, for whoever put our gifts together.
That's
and
Gina.
The framework with our names and everything. So, and the capes. I think you had mine for an example that looks more like a bib on me, maybe.
That's right. So you don't get cookie crumbs on you.
But it still is that can still hang up on the wall of fame at the cookie shop. So thank you for those. So Just one last thing, and John, you put this in our FYI that you send out every week to us, and we talked about it in our meeting. We had a quick meeting last week for us for board, talking about board meetings and where we want to meet, because we had talked about doing it somewhere at the high school. You know, the PAC was one thought. As we talked, we kind of thought a 700 seat auditorium might be a little much for a board meeting like this. Maybe a little bit of overkill. And one thing I would like to ask everybody is, I know John put it in his thing about possibly looking at the classrooms above the wrestling room in the natatorium building, possibly doing something like that. And we kind of talked about it. And I think one thing we need to consider is, one, we do the live stream now every time. I know it takes a lot of work for Andrew and all the other tech guys that are running this every board meeting to set it up in a quad that's being used for school earlier today and now has to be used for school tomorrow. And with the extra added stuff for the live stream, if we can find a space that maybe is easier for them to leave some things set up so it's not such a big thing, whether that's those classrooms or somewhere else. But I think it would be worth kind of exploring that just to see where we can be, still make it very accessible for the public to come in, especially if now that we're having students brought in like we did in December, and that's great to have that so we can have the space for that. But I think it might be worth, if we want to say, just, we don't have to have a vote on this, but just to give John the okay to look at those classrooms up above in that building, just to take a look at it and see if it's feasible. First of all, I mean, I think that's the first thing is where is it feasible? We need the space. We need it accessible for the public. Make it a little easier for our tech department to be able to set it up for us so that we can do that twice a month. So is that something that is okay? I'm not saying that's what we're going to do, but just start exploring other options for us and seeing if that would be a possibility of a fit more than anything, I guess.
If I may, Tom, could I make a motion to go to executive session under item N, given there's some security discussion with that particular topic?
Okay.
And since we aren't going to take a vote, it doesn't require any additional action.
Okay.
Perhaps we could adjourn.
And just talk about that in executive. Yep, I agree
Take a
with
couple minutes.
safety precautions in there.
So
Absolutely.
I make the motion.
Okay. Motion by Ms. Laird to move into executive session. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Spiritu. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Laird,
Yes.
Mrs. Spiritu,
Yes.
Ms. Slim,
Yes.
Mrs. Rye,
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes. So we will move into executive session. There will not be any further board action taking after this. So that way we don't have to, we'll just adjourn in there. There's nothing else that's going to be taking place after that. So, okay.
All right, thank you
We're
very much.
in